Hi everyone, here Ulysses Lavaroni for Cyclical Dreams, and now we have the pleasure to be with Bruce Gall. He is from Scotland and he's going to release a new album via our label. So welcome, Bruce.
Thank you, Ulysses. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Very happy that you form part of Cyclical Dreams in a musical ways. You were helping a lot with your radio programs, and it was great. You make very accessible your programming and your radio programs for many musicians to be known. So we want to say thank you. And we want to know about how do you reach this another part of your activities beyond the radio is to make music directly. I can imagine you are a passionate about music, and one day do you found that it will be completely possible to do that. So tell us about it. How do you reach to the music and to electronic music?
It's interesting you mentioned that because I've always been a big fan of music in general. For as long as I can remember, when I was a youngster, I would listen to the radio. I would watch the TV music shows. My older brother bought albums, so I would be listening to them. And I would be listening to bands like Aha, Tears for Fears, Howard Jones, guys like that. Then I found progressive rock music, bands like Genesis, Yes, Marillion. Then a friend of mine introduced me to instrumental electronic music, which was completely new to me. I had no idea it even existed, but when I heard this music, it just completely blew my mind, because the sounds that these instruments created was just amazing to me. And at first, so I was buying quite a lot of that music initially, and it was mainly new age music I was listening at that time, because I then started to investigate a little bit more, and I found space music and ambient music and Berlin School, and all of the other obscure genres and subgenres that involves. But for me personally, melody is such a big thing in music, and so I guess that's why I enjoyed new age music initially, because new age music carried a tune. But then I began to enjoy the less accessible side of electronic music, and progressed into listening to space music and ambient music, and it's kind of progressed to where I am today, where I enjoy many different styles of electronic music, and music that a few years ago I would not have got, if you understand what I mean. I was well aware of artists like Jean-Michel Jarre and his albums Equinox and Oxygen and Vangelis soundtracks. And I'd heard of Tangerine Dream and Klaus Schulze, these guys, although at that time I didn't really like them too much. I know Tangerine Dream fans will probably be shaking their heads in disgust at me saying that, but at that time I found their music quite abstract, and but I've changed over the years. Then I started finding artists from around the world, like the likes of Japanese artists Tomita and Kitaro, and many unknown names, who were producing this really high quality music. But the vast majority of them, as you will know yourself, got virtually no exposure at all. So I was just a music listening fan back then. But by chance, I was given the opportunity to host an electronic music show on a radio station, which ironically was a rock music show. And the guy who owned the show, he wanted a slightly off the wall, different kind of show. And he knew that I had a little bit of knowledge on the electronic music scene. So he asked me to do that, and I've been doing that for many years now, and more than 300 shows, which is atmospheres. The first influences I had on electronic music were the likes of Vangelis, David Arkenstone, John Serry, Gandalf, these sort of guys. So I was being exposed to so much music through my Atmospheres show. But I always had that dream that one day I'd make my own music. But I had no idea how to go about doing it. I had no formal training or anything. I'm not a natural, so the whole process was quite daunting for me, to be honest. I can't read music, so I make it now purely by ear. And like most other musicians, I guess, the music I make I was influenced by artists that I've been listening to for so many years. So I put it off for so long until about 4 years ago. I woke up one day. I don't know why it was that particular day. I believe that our life is mapped out for us, and when we're meant to do something, that's when we do it. So I woke up this particular day, and I decided to pursue my dream. I went out and bought the Roland FE06 workstation, which is the album To the Earth's Core is almost entirely made up on that Roland workstation, along with some VSTs and sound effects. So it's all very compact. As I say, none of it comes, it's all a learning process for me. None of it comes natural, but the desire to make music has always been there for me. And I guess it was my time. But compared to many of the acts on Cyclical Dreams, I'm a comparative beginner, really.
And how it's about the process? How it's about the composition? Because composition in each artist is completely different.
Yes.
It's a different, very, very personal process. Some wrote the notes, some improvise. How it's about this new release you are going to launch on those days, and how you did it?
Well, I find I need a theme or subject to inspire.
A story, something beyond the music itself. Okay.
Yes, hence I produce concept albums. I've released a few albums now. So it's really surprised myself, actually. Some quite controversial subjects, such as flat Earth, aliens, the idea that we are much more than flesh and blood, and we're spiritual beings. There's also the subject of myths and legends of forests and the creatures that live in them. I've also collaborated with my friend Nakoma Z in America on a couple of albums. And this one, this album is based on Jules Verne's journey to the center of the Earth. And the movie the 1959 movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's quite an old movie. And it's also inspired by Rick Wakeman's 1974 album of the same name, and also his album No Earthly Connection. So, but they're both very much in the prog rock, progressive rock territory, and the concept albums of the 1970s. So initially, I'm inspired by a subject, such as aliens, for example, and it progresses from there, where I read about it, gather information, influences and ideas, and I find I can't just tinker on the keyboard and wait for some inspiration. So I try to inspire myself by immersing myself in the subject, and so you see where that takes me. And it's from there that I gather the sounds that I hope will complement the concept for the album. But everything I do is experimental, because I really don't know what I'm doing, to be honest, on technical terms. You know, I can hear the music in my head, and what I want to do, but it takes me time to actually perform it and get it from my head to the keyboard and then to record it. But that's the idea, you know. It's just basically trying to get inspiration from ideas.
And then you translate to experimentation, to an improvisation.
Yes. It's all pretty much improvised. Yeah.
And then you mix, and you make by yourself the mixing process and the mastering process.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I try to make it as much with this album. I try to make it as much visual as audio experience. Hence, I have all these sound effects, such as dripping water in caves, etc. You know, so I did consider making the whole album one continuous piece of music, but I decided against that in the end. So they are separate pieces of music. It's all very slow motion music. As I was trying to give the impression of how nothing happens very quickly inside the inner earth, which is the idea for this album. So I was trying to convey a claustrophobic atmosphere, which I hope I achieved. I also try to focus on some of the scenes from the movie. So hopefully it comes through in the album.
Great. Well, I think that music in each imaginary mind have their own territory to develop any kind of ideas. We, as composers, make music with some ideas, and it's crazy because it translates in another experiences, and each one put their own fantasy also in the music. So it's fantastic because it's the way that the art form part of each life and each being, each mind. It's because we complete the work of others in our imagination. So this is amazing that in some ways you go with a lot of impressions that for you are very interesting, and those impressions are the motivation to modulate something abstract, which is sound, and who knows what happened in different imaginations in each.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's amazing. That's a very interesting process.
It is based mostly on fantasy, just inspirations from there. Yeah, I don't find it easy to release music on everyday kind of things, if you know what I mean. So I take my sort of inspirations from books, films, and kind of subjects that interest me.
Yes, so you find subjects that triggers you some development on sound, and then we have
yeah, absolutely,
this music. So that's great.
It's all a learning process for me because, as I said, it was only about 4 years ago that I even considered making music, and I don't know where it came from, but I guess it's the same for every musician. You don't know where it comes from, the music.
It just sound, and our imaginations play with it, and
yes,
beyond titles, there's just people playing with sounds and other people listening and enjoying or no. And that's all. all the rest is about our imagination and the place in our emotions that we put it. So this is very amazing because this is about culture, and this is about the way that we express so many things. So very, very, very interesting to know about your triggers and your way that you do it, and it's very valuable that you face the intention and you finally do it, because all those dreams that we have in life, we must do it, and music for sure is a dream. So it's very beautiful to be to go to bed with the sensation that we just do it. And
yes, it took a long time. It took me such a long time, because it was such a daunting process for me, because I was starting from scratch, probably a lot different from yourself. You're probably more natural instincts for music than I do, so yeah, it took me a long time to actually build the courage within myself, I guess, to make music. But you're absolutely right. We need to fulfill our great dreams.
Absolutely, and this is about.
Yeah, this was a big dream for me because I've been a huge music fan for so long, but actually doing it myself, that was a big step, and I'm so glad that I actually did take the step. Whether anybody likes it or not,
this is not your problem.
Yeah.
This is never the problem of the artist.
Yeah, I guess
you have to be honest with yourself. Then
yes,
it goes away. Okay, yeah. Bruce, thank you so much for your time. We are pleased to publish your new album, and see you next time. Thank you
very much, Ulysses, and thank you to yourself and all the guys at Cyclical Dreams, and also to all the artists. Absolutely amazing label you have.
Thank you so much.